listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Live every single Tuesday night right here on all your favorite social media platforms. Coming to you from Louisville, Kentucky. Proud of our state, not proud of our city. We are glad you're here joining us on Oscars Eve coming up this Sunday. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And that sums it up right there. That's the kind of show we're going to have tonight.
That's the kind of show I always have.
Will there be a slap? No, I'm not talking about the Oscars. I'm talking about tonight.
That's what, I know what you're talking about.
Are one of us going to slap each other?
We can.
Let's do it.
Right now.
All three of us.
I think we should all just have a slap contest.
We're just going to slap.
That's
slap
right.
happy.
Circle
I
slap.
slap you.
Tell me that doesn't sound gross.
Slap
Circle
your
slap?
mama.
Circle slap.
Ain't nothing wrong with circle slaps.
Wasn't that a phrase?
What, slap your mama?
Yeah.
Oh, slap your mama.
That's so good, I'm going to make you want to slap your mama. Yeah, I remember that back in the day. Yeah, I got some beautiful...
That coffee's good.
Is it good?
It's strong.
It is good.
Strong.
It's
Yeah,
delicious.
you made it bold, buddy.
Strong and black, like
it
my
tastes
men.
like coffee.
Oh, like motor oil.
That's right.
Don't taste like motor oil. Tastes good.
That's good. That's good.
Tastes
I'm glad
good.
it doesn't.
Tastes
so good.
delicious.
It's lubricating those cylinders.
Lubricating the cylinders.
It's getting down in there.
Lubricating my lungs.
Yeah.
Your
Do you have
lungs.
phlegm?
You take it into your lungs?
Yeah, do you...
The coffee, it warms the chest.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I figured that would be like soup, like chicken broth or something.
You don't breathe chicken broth in either.
No,
Yeah.
but it helps you
If it
when
gets
you're
in your
sick
lungs,
and you're
it's
all
not good.
congested.
Anything warm is going to make your chest feel warm.
True, but coffee's a little more acidic-y, so it's like...
What if you put coffee in a
Chicken broth's
nebulizer
acidic
and just
too.
breathe
No,
it in?
but it helps soothe your throat if you have a sore throat. Coffee doesn't. It makes it worse.
I disagree.
I disagree, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
coffee can
well,
soothe your throat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the science would disagree with you all.
You put
I
honey
don't
in
think
some
so.
coffee, and it'll soothe
Put
your
talking about
throat.
honey
real
in
stuff.
coffee?
Yes.
Oh,
Instead of
You ever
sugar.
heard of honey and coffee?
Yes.
Oh, man, that's
No.
amazing.
Honey
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's really good.
honey and tea.
For
Yeah, both.
cold,
That'll be good.
No,
Take
honey
hot
is like a real
coffee.
thing in coffee, too.
Take
yeah.
hot coffee and put a Ricola in it and let it melt and drink
What?
that.
I wouldn't do that, but
I don't know about
Oh, no.
that.
honey's amazing
It's
in
good.
coffee.
Put a cough drop in there.
I got to wake up early, so I'm just drinking some water tonight. That's all I'm having.
I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah,
as soon as I get home.
water. Well, we have 2 reviews and Oscars to
We
get
do.
through.
We got a
so
lot.
Not that I'm trying to rush us, but
It sounds like you are.
It sounds like it's
I just-
exactly what he's doing.
well, one of the reviews I don't really care about, so I just figured, just get it over with.
Okay, all right. Now I'm fine with that. We're going to save Creed 3 then for our second review.
Well, because we're going to talk about Creed 3. I want to talk about that one.
All right, fair
All right.
enough. Let's just roll right into it. Here is our review of the last Best Picture that we haven't nomination that we haven't actually discussed yet.
Yeah, we've reviewed. This is the last review of
Yeah.
the Best Picture noms.
Women Talking.
We've made it at last. What once was eager anticipation leading to the Oscars has become a slog of trepidation and reluctance in the last several years. And with each year seemingly becoming worse and worse, the big show couldn't come fast enough. With it finally set to air this Sunday, we have our final Best Picture nominee review, Women Talking. Based on the novel of the same name, written by Miriam Toews, a novel which its author herself describes as a fictional response to a real event, the event being the drugging and rape of over 150 women by a group of men in a Mennonite community in Bolivia. Using a cow tranquilizer sprayed through the town's windows at night to drug their victims, the real-life horror occurred over the years between 2005 and 2009, until an assailant was caught in the middle of the night and subsequently outed his accomplices. The men responsible were arrested and taken to a nearby city, while the remaining men in town leave to the city to oversee Baal. Left behind are the majority of the Mennonite women, which is where the fictional story picks up, displaying a sequence of meetings held by the women to decide how to move forward, stay and fight for change and equality, go on living exactly as they have, or leave the community entirely. Showcasing a harrowing tale full of strife and horror, the women of the real Mennonite community were made to feel crazy, or else being very religious were told the attacks at night were the results of ghosts or demons. Coming to grips with reality while staying true to their beliefs and faiths, the hardships and horror these real women faced are unimaginable. The film does a fair job of trying to capture this with a talented cast that includes Claire Foy, Rooney Mara, and Frances McDormand. The film is well made, acted, and written. Themes through the film include the religious beliefs of the community and the morality of the austere patriarchal society they live in, oppressing the females of said community. Many will view the film and be moved and horrified, but despite how well made the movie is, I could not get past how pointed its message seemed to be. Using modern language and dialogue evocative of the current social climate in America, arguing in favor of gender equality yet not coming to terms on what that actually means, and even throwing in a trans character whose transition is made clear has nothing to do with the events of the film and feels randomly placed, and Women Talking suddenly goes from showing the horrors of how a corrupt group of men in power abused said power to feeling like a virtue-signaling mouthpiece that instead of bringing awareness to a tragedy, grossly uses it as a stepping stool for Hollywood to spread its own agenda. Much like the talk of banning guns, which happens after every mass shooting, instead of paying honor to a tragedy and asking the human question of how to defeat human evil, the film plays identity politics, painting all men as evil and the patriarchy as a form of systemic evil. With this in mind, I struggled to get through Women Talking, a film that should have moved me to tears, as no woman deserves such an evil to befall them, let alone a whole community. Yet Women Talking seems so concerned with being an allegory for the women here and now in America that it does a great disservice to those who were actually harmed. I give Women Talking 2 out of 4 stars.
2 out of 4 stars there for Women Talking.
We don't like it when women talk.
Nope. No,
we like it better when they just shut up.
Shut up, yep. Keep your mouth closed.
That's why I don't have any women on this show.
No. Sean actually, I believe, liked the film more than me.
I did.
I thought it was well acted, well written, well made. Like everything about it, like on technical terms, I think is well done. I felt too much of the dialogue and a lot of the things they were saying just felt very pointed and more in the language of what we would talk like right now on these specific topics. Like I didn't buy that a group of Mennonites, the way that the language is very much what you would hear in the media right now.
Yeah.
And that, like, I just couldn't get past that. I was just like, this just really feels like the only reason they made this movie wasn't to showcase this horror that is based on something that actually happened.
Whoa. Don't call her that.
Yeah. Horror, not horror. But it's just, I just felt like it felt like the purposes behind making this movie felt to me like for the political angle and not for the dramatic angle. And that's why I had to settle with 2, because I really just felt like the movie itself wanted to make it seem like this blanket statement of men are evil and this is what every woman has to deal with. And I'm like, no, this is what these women had to deal with because of a group of evil men. Not every man oppresses women this way. And yes, it is wrong when it happens, but I just felt like this movie was trying to make it seem like that's a universal truth across the whole world, is things like this is the norm. And I'm like, no, this is not the norm.
See, that I'm not saying I disagree with you on all of those points. I definitely agree with you that a lot of the conversations were deliberate and loaded and pointed towards modern day things that Hollywood and the left would definitely like to bring to the forefront. But I think the movie did a good job at showcasing that, number one, this was a cult. They call it a cult in the movie. It wasn't just Mennonites. It was a cult. And I know I grew up with some Mennonites. We had Mennonite people that used to be youth ministers at our church. And Brian Fry's wife was a Mennonite, and her family are Mennonites. They're not all like that.
No, not at all.
But I think it also doesn't point that all men are evil, because they give you this one male character.
Yeah, they give you the token good
that's
male
good. But what I will say about him is he acts like he's handicapped. I mean, he acted a little slow.
Does he act like a woman?
No, he acts like a wimp.
He's
I'm sorry,
feminine.
I don't have the right to speak right now because I'm a man.
Oh, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
So, and I was just like, to me, that's not here's a good man. It's like, no, this is what we want men to be.
The best kind of men that are there are women.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're saying.
That's how I felt. I do agree they do have that token man in there, but I think that was, for me, even worse, because then it was like, well, no, he's just in there to be like, well, we should just shut up. Because,
I just didn't get that. I saw him as more of he realizes what has happened to these women. He wasn't a part of it, and he's respecting the fact that they're getting together, unbeknownst to the men in the colony. Like they have no idea these women are gathering to talk about what their plan is or what they're going to do, because they're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And he is being respectful of that and saying, nope, but I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm going to stay out of it. He is very submissive when they talk to him. There's a lot of things that they say to him that I keep trying to put myself in his shoes. If I was part of that colony where men are the head of the household and the women are completely, entirely submissive, I would voice back to them, you're not going to talk to me that way. I'm here out of the kindness of my heart. Like, you're not going to talk to me like that. But he is very passive. He is very feminine. And I know that they deliberately did that for the film.
I'm curious, though, because if this is based on, you said a 19...
This is based on a novel, which is completely fictional, but the novel was inspired by an event that happened from 2005 to 2009.
Okay, I thought it was 1900 something.
No, 2005 to 2009. It was in Bolivia, in South America, a group of Mennonites. And that definitely is evil people, and not all Christians and not all Mennonites are like that way.
Because this would be the first movie to showcase the portrayals of people who abuse faith and religion.
And I felt like it points that out.
I'm being tongue in cheek, because it's like it just seems to be the only people that ever get criticized for not upholding their values are those of the religious faith.
I agree with you, Sean. There are evil people no matter where you go. I mean, there are people who use religion in that way. I mean, they did it in Bolivia because it actually happened, and that isn't real faith. That is wrong. And I just feel like, to me, I felt like the movie, I don't think it, in my opinion, did a good enough job of saying, no, this is just a specific group of people. It's like, they kind of say it in the movie, but at the same time, the way everybody treats them is like, oh, well, yeah, of course, because the Mennonites are crazy. And I felt like it felt more like a blanket statement than specifically that group, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. I felt kind of the opposite, that it pointed out that they were a cult, and that there were people from that group that even talk about how they escaped the cult, and then the man that's in the movie actually came back from leaving, and they accepted him back. So and he talks about what life was like when they left, and it was normal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so you're saying that this life isn't normal, what you're living right now. The issues that I had with the movie, for sure, and I gave it 2 out of 4 too, but it's a different 2 out of 4, I guess.
Which we've definitely described on the show.
It does have positives for sure. Like I said, all the technical aspects I do think are positive. It's just those one, because I mean, I have the same problem with because I know you like this one, I think, better than me. I had the same problem with The Well, which is how they depicted religion in The Well. Like, I couldn't get past that.
I do have a problem with that.
Yeah, I thought that was very pointedly.
Yeah.
Instead of blaming him for his own problems, it was, well, it all spiraled because of this one religion. And they do act like they're a cult in The Well. I mean, they are more specific about, well, these people, they're religious nut jobs. But I just felt like there was no redeeming factor for religion at all in The Well.
No,
really,
I agree.
Yeah.
The trans thing in this movie.
Though Brendan Fraser was phenomenal in acting. I won't say that. I agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
Which we'll talk
He's
a
on my
little
list.
bit more.
Yeah.
In
we will. We'll get to there. But overall, I think I am focusing more on the negative with women talking because I do think
Sean just brought up about the trans.
Just real quick. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I wanted to like point out the fact that, and you agreed with me during the review that there's a trans character in this movie. Well, and I don't even know if you can. I guess they're trying to say that she was or they were trans or whatever.
It's a woman who's now male. Yeah.
Yes, but they at first this person is one of the women who were raped, and it specifically says once this happened to her, she began to cut her hair and dress like a man because she didn't want to ever feel like that again, like she was taken advantage of by a man. So if I look like one and act like one and talk like one, maybe they'll leave me alone. I'm not attractive anymore. That's what they start. And I accepted that. Mm-hmm. I said when I was watching the movie, I was by myself in the basement talking to myself and just like, all right, if they're going that way, I'm gonna have some empathy and say I can totally see
because there's a scar.
Yes, there's a lifelong scar.
But then later
here.
on, they're like, well, she's always.
But then they flip it around to do she was born that way, and then they affirm.
She's always felt like a boy.
Then they affirm it by calling her by her male name. And she says, like, thank you for using my real name or whatever. And I'm like, at that point, I was like, okay, so, but again, you've got a Mennonite colony here, who are the Mennonites. No matter what kind of cult they are, usually the more cultish groups are the Bible thumping.
As evil as they were, like,
they are hardcore.
They definitely weren't going to accept a trans person in their community.
I would actually say they're legalistic. Religion. So they are by the book, and if you break the rules, you get beat or you're dead or exiled or whatever. They would not stand for that. Neither the men or the women. If they believe what they say they believe in the movie, which the women all profess Jesus Christ. They all talk about the end and the rapture and going to heaven and all this stuff. Heavenly Father, they would not accept that if they were that kind of a legalistic cult. So it was extremely unbelievable, and that took me out of the. You've said it before. It's like the
suspension of disbelief.
Yes. Yeah. It just completely snaps you out of this world they've tried to build.
Right.
You did say you had a theory that you thought like there was going to be a twist, but it never happened. I wanted to hear you.
So the male character in the movie that's kind of there only to take the minutes of these women's meeting they're having. He is in love, like madly in love with one of these women, but he won't. He won't profess it right off the bat, and he's real nervous around her, and all these things happen. Well, she's the woman that at the beginning of the movie you see that she's the one who's been raped, and this is when it kind of boils over, and the men get arrested and all this stuff. I thought for sure that he was going to end up being the man that raped her.
Oh, yeah.
And it's his baby that she's pregnant with. Baby! Because he tells her, he's like, I love you, the baby, I will take care of you, I'll take care of the baby, raise it as my own, all this stuff. And I'm like, wouldn't it be freaking awesome in this story if that dude...
Awesome or terribly tragic?
I mean terribly tragic, but I'm like, it would have made, to me...
Awesome doesn't have to be a good...
It would have made for a better movie if at the end he would have, instead of confessing his love for her, if he would have confessed, I'm the one who did this. And I was, you could go, they put me up to it. All the other guys were doing it. This is what's expected of us as men in this group, whatever you want to say. But it would have been so much better if he would have been the one that did that to her. And that is why he's like so drawn to her. It's like, it's not out of like, it's almost like he couldn't have her, so he took her. Kind of thing. Like, this is what I can't have because she doesn't feel the same way I do.
And now
so I'm just gonna sneak in the middle of the night and take what I want.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very
evil.
Well, I mean,
that would have made it a much more beefy movie for me. But
it's not one that I really expect to. I do think I did pick it for one award. I
think it's gonna win some things.
But I didn't
just
think
because
it was
of the messaging. But
well, because there's so many other movies that are much more popular with the Academy, and I feel like this one's like not been talked about at all.
No, I think it's kind of
those are the
overlooked.
sleepers.
But there is,
sometimes there's sleepers.
Sometimes, I think there are others.
It could definitely. I forget what categories it's nominated for, but it could easily be an upset for some.
It could be.
Yeah.
But I do have it picked for one. But anyways, I think I want to talk about the next movie.
Yeah. I think women talking is worth a watch. I'm not going to say that it's terrible. You shouldn't watch it. I think it's worth a watch. Is it Best Picture, is it any of those? No.
It's not.
No. The acting was very good.
Yeah,
I
no,
will
the
say.
acting is
Well, and I've
spot
heard the writing is fantastic.
that's-
I thought
yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
but
on. The writing is really well done.
it was nice to see a movie where Frances McDormand isn't like the main female, person in the film.
It looked like
I
it was
kinda
mainly
liked-
Rooney Mara and
kinda
It
like
is
that
mainly Rooney
she's-
Mara and Claire Foy.
Claire Foy.
Claire
yeah.
Foy, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, the big boy on the block this past week
Yeah, let's do it.
was Creed 3. So let's let's get into that review.
The big film on the block this weekend is the long-awaited third chapter in the story of Adonis Creed. Sure to KO the competition and claim the #1 spot this weekend, Creed 3 is the first of the franchise directed by star Michael B. Jordan, based on a script from Keenan Coogler, brother of Ryan Coogler, who served as the first film's director and as producer on all 3 movies. Creed 3 picks up many years after the second, with Adonis at the end of his career, retiring as heavyweight champion. But when an old friend from Donnie's past resurfaces, the life Donnie has built and the one he fought to leave behind will collide. A lot of controversy has surrounded Creed 3 in the absence of Sylvester Stallone, aka Rocky. Stallone was given a producer credit and has gone on record as not being fond of the direction the film's script had taken. And while his absence is missed, Creed 3 fully stands on its own, still honoring the franchise that came before, but now out from under the shadow of Balboa, which is a good thing. Longtime fans should not fret, as Jordan, who takes up the directing reins, admirably delivers both in front of and behind the camera. What worked about both previous films continues to work in Creed 3, with Adonis carrying on the legacy of both his father and Rocky while being his own man, and likewise on film his own character. With the Rocky character fully retired, Creed 3 has room to stretch its legs a bit and focus solely on Donnie's journey and what makes Creed Creed. Facing off against Jonathan Majors as Damian Diamond Dame Anderson, an old friend from his past, it's a tricky thing to introduce a character 3 films in, who is supposed to be just as integral to Donnie's past as mainstays like Donnie's mother, Apollo, and Rocky. Yet taking things back to Donnie's past to reflect on where he came from and who he is adds a perfect cap to what could be a solid trilogy, if this is where Jordan decides to leave things. Focusing on themes such as self-accountability, reconciliation, and forgiveness, Creed 3 builds upon the character growth and themes of its preceding films. Both Jordan and Majors give phenomenal performances, with the film balancing character depth, emotion, and action that is true to the Rocky formula that has been present, while still giving Creed his own style and flair. It's familiar yet inventive, and Creed 3 stands apart as uniquely a product of Jordan, the way the Rocky franchise felt uniquely a product of Stallone. Showcasing both style and substance, Creed 3 is the type of cinema Hollywood desperately needs to return to. I give Creed 3 3.5 out of 4 stars.
3.5 out of 4 stars.
I like that
for
movie.
Creed.
It's a good movie.
It was a very, very good movie.
It's just that's why I had to throw that line at the end about this is the type of film that. And no, this isn't. I would like even more depth than even this movie, but just coming back to something like this or Top Gun, I'll settle for now, because not that this is lacking depth. It has a good amount of depth, but I don't think this is like Best Picture.
It's
worthy.
definitely one of those movies. For one, I would agree 3.5 out of 4 stars. It was definitely a movie where I was not only thoroughly enjoying it, but by the time the final fight gets to to that moment in the film, I'm just like, we're already here.
Yeah,
like that was actually pretty quick.
Yeah,
and it's a 2-hour-long movie. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and like you said, there could have been some even moments where they maybe expanded a little bit more,
but it's not. Yeah,
it's not like it's all for naught. Like there's not scenes that are wasted. There's not times that you feel like they either spend too long on or too minimal. It's like no, it's actually still the right amount. It's kind of one of those. It's a good feeling of walking out of a movie wanting more, which I think just feels like, hey, all right, I think we walked out of the theater not only all surprised, but I was like, if they end with this one, Creed, the Creed trilogy is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great trilogy.
It's really well done. Even having Michael B. Jordan step into the directing chair,
Yes.
I think he did an excellent job. Because you never know with actors turned directors, especially when they've been a part of a franchise like this. Sometimes they get thrown a bone, and that's not necessarily always the best idea. But I mean, I think it paid off. He did a fantastic job both on screen and behind it, like I said in the review. And just I think the raw emotion between him and Jonathan Majors in this compared to his emotion, because I know he was praised. That's the only thing about Ant-Man that critics loved was him as Kang, and I didn't think
Stupid.
Yeah. And honestly,
He was a way better villain in this than
yeah,
Kang.
he did a really well. He was an actual person in this. Like he actually had motivations. He had even though he starts out as more of this crooked guy, you kind of get the idea like he's the typical like I have a chip on my shoulder, even though it's my own fault. And then by the end of the movie, well, I don't want to spoil things, but
No,
I mean,
don't
you know,
spoil it.
It's one of those things where I think it is very.
He was Kang, now he's Dane.
Yeah, it's dang. Yeah.
Oh God.
Wow. He was Kang's. Yeah. Wow.
I had to do
That was
it. I'm
bad.
sorry.
That was
But I was
3
gonna
out
say,
of 4 stars on
Yeah,
the bad
yeah.
joke.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
it's one of those things where
Yeah.
I think when you look throughout like even the Rocky franchise coming up to this, and you see how, because that's one thing that I think has always been done well with Rocky and Creed all together is the writing and the character development. Even when they bring in new villains, I mean, I think the worst was probably Rocky V and Tommy Gunn, which is like
Tommy Gunn.
That character was awful. That's why that film flopped.
Yeah.
Because that was the only time I think. Because even Rocky IV, which doesn't have a lot of depth to the villain, like Drago is obviously he left a huge enough impact on audiences that they brought him back for Creed 2, which made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
And
the
I
best
think
Rocky fight.
Yeah.
To me.
So it's one of those things where I think this is a franchise that has always rested on the writing and the character development, and the fact that even without Stallone's involvement, which I know for some people is a huge, I've seen some people be like, I'm not going to see Creed 3 because of what they've done with Stallone. It's like there's back and forth between both of them. I don't think it's all on Coogler and
I never really
Jordan.
looked into the controversy. I know we probably talked about it when it first dropped, news of it dropped, but I remember you telling me that so much of it was kind of Stallone thinking this had too much of a darker message.
Stallone didn't like the script because he said he doesn't like his heroes to go that dark. And I understand that.
For one, this is Adonis' story.
Yes.
Who has a vastly different upbringing.
Comes from a darker place.
I was going to say, we start off that way with Creed 1. And even then, I thought the redemption arc of Adonis becoming a better man throughout the series and ultimately really having that influence on Dame, who was having an influence on him as a younger kid. I thought that was even better.
I think that's what I love about this movie is because you do get to see the growth of Adonis's character from one to this one, where now you've seen who he's become, and he has to face that past in Dame, who is kind of a representation of where he started. And I love that they kind of bring everything full circle that way, which is very hard to do by bringing in a new character. It's like it's weird that you can make something full circle with a character who wasn't even there in the beginning.
Yeah, especially when you throw in the family element, which is in this movie way more than, I mean, now he has a kid, the kid is grown. It's very obvious that some of the things that even in the first and second film he fights or different situations that he would have jumped on or overreacted or just thrown a punch first instead of stopping and thinking about my wife and my kid. And in this movie he has those responsibilities, and I think it does a really good job of showcasing the relationship that him and his wife have, and the relationship that him and his daughter have developed to the point where he makes his decisions based on them.
His family, yeah.
I mean, even the fight with Dame, he wasn't going to do it unless his wife gave him the go-ahead.
The blessing.
And I love that over the overarching theme, too, because you start out with him and the whole, this theme of, his legacy coming from Apollo, so you have that family angle there, which carries over into the second one where he's finally accepted his role as the son of Apollo, and then in the second one you have the idea of, okay, now he's carrying on the legacy of his father. He's going up against Drago's son, the man who killed his father, and then you have the theme of Rocky and his son, so then you have this whole father-son thing that gets wrapped up really nicely in the second one, and then he becomes a
two's
father.
my favorite.
Yeah, and then in the third one, he becomes a father. So now it's like he dealt with all the baggage of being the son to Apollo in these first two films, and now you get to see him making better decisions for his daughter than Apollo made for him because Apollo had abandoned him. So
No, and I think
really love that.
even with Rocky not being in this film, he's only mentioned like once in the film.
That's one thing I do wish they had done better.
But I think even part of their relationship, even though it's not present in the film, making Rocky proud is also is something that's on Creed's mind. Is am I going to be the man that Rocky has taught me to be?
And honestly, I think they handled it well without even mentioning it. That his role. Adonis's role in this film has kind of become the Rocky figure.
Yeah.
He's now reached the cream of the crop. He's retiring from his career as the champion, and now he's running his own gym. He's trying to kind of do the finagling of, well, let's be the promoter. Let's try to make this business, and now I want to be the behind-the-scenes guy. I want to be the influencer. And then, of course, this perfect opportunity walks in, and his childhood friend, Dame. And even the way it's approached at the beginning, Dame wants to use it as an opportunity, but and I don't want to give away too much, but even the way he approaches Adonis, he's kind of like, I don't want your handout. He's like, I want to earn it, but at least give me a shot, give me a chance, because I want to show you that I'm good enough to have earned it. And I think Adonis is kind of now caught up in this world of where he came up from, and he's kind of like, nah, that's just not how things work. So you kind of see that evolution of his character too, in kind of adapting and falling in line with the status quo, and how even old ties can break that, but how you still have to fight for your values, fight for your family. And I think another thing I loved was just the juxtaposition at the end. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but the final fight, some visuals that were used, I thought were effective. Obviously, look, I mean, every Rocky movie, you're going to get a final fight, whether it's in a ring or in a street. We don't talk about that one much. But even still, there's always a proponent of the final fight that has to happen for you to be like, okay, this is what makes this Rocky or this Creed a valid mark on like why it's a story worth being told. And I think that fight, I was thinking again when we reached it, I was like, man, we're already here. And then once it's underway, I was like, what's gonna be different about this fight that's gonna make it emotional and bring out the reason for the story being told? And they hit the nail on the head. And I've got to give credit to Michael B. Jordan in his direction.
That's actually where I was about to go, because I had read something before this movie that made me a little scared, I'll be honest. Michael B. Jordan was talking about directing the film and the fight choreographies and scenes, and he had talked about some of the cinematography. He took inspiration from Dragon Ball Z. And I'm sitting here, I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like, this could either be really interesting or these are going to be like.
Do you know what he was referencing?
Oh yeah, I actually watching the movie, there are a few key shots, and I was like, oh yeah, he totally took some of the cinema, but it works really well in the vein of because it's more old school Dragon Ball, which I'm, with his age, I'm sure he's more familiar with than some of the newer stuff.
Which is crazy to me. That's awesome.
There's a key shot.
Michael B. is a nerd.
In the final fight I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a key shot where they both hit each other
at the same time.
That shot has been done. It's actually a very infamous shot in Dragon Ball. Like almost all of Goku's major villains, that they have that that shot of them
and for that shot.
So I'm sitting there watching that, and I'm like, okay, that right there was straight up Dragon. So I just thought that was really
the
cool.
slow-mo scenes with sweat,
all
that stuff.
The over the shoulder, quick kind of come arounds that they did when it would go into slow motion, and they would
pause and go
some
slow.
Of that stuff was from there too. I was like, okay,
I can see that. I mean, not just from Dragon Ball, because I don't watch that, but I know that that's anime. It's
and
it's a style.
I don't want to be like, because like he makes it his own. Like I don't want to make it sound like he just like.
I mean, come on, imitation's the best form of flattery.
It's one of those things where I don't want to be like, oh, he's not creative. He just saw something and took it. No, he does make it his own, like, because to incorporate it into a boxing film that's a part of a larger franchise like Rocky and have it not stand out as anime, like I think is really good.
This was the 8th film in a franchise, if you think about it. Well, no,
it's the ninth
because of Balboa.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, it's like you have to try to stay fresh and interesting. I mean, we even kind of mocked the fact that like once we got out of the movie, it was like you can only do so many, amped up training scenes of back and forth between the two fighters. And they always try to find a way to reinvent it. Same with the fighting. I mean, you kind of also have the same story beats in Creed 1 through 3, where it's like you have a beginning fight to get you amped up, you have a mid fight where somebody's going to lose and it's going to be a turning point for the film, and then you got the final fight of someone's coming out on top. And it's like you have really just 3 main fights with a little bit of montages thrown in between. And it's not to say it's a bad formula. I think it's
a winning formula.
It's a winning formula. Right. But it's just interesting
but if
that
you make it unique,
follow it and you make it unique each time, it makes it worth seeing more and more.
Both the training montage and the final fight in this film were unique from any other Rocky or Creed film. And the emotional parts, like I could say, some of the fight choreography, he may have been inspired by Dragon Ball, but the emotional cues he puts into the training montage and the fight at the end with some of like the flashes of him seeing just him and Dame and like in the corner of the ring when it kind of flashes between past and present, like that stuff is all Michael B. Jordan. Like that's not inspired from anime. Like that was literally just him having a creative idea of what would emotionally land to drive home this rivalry that came from an old friendship. And I just think he did a really good job.
One of the things about not just the final fight, but even just the fights in the 3 Creed movies. And I think it kind of just stays true to what we've seen from Rocky, is that the fight isn't always just this guy versus this guy. It's that this person's ideals and values and their motives versus this guy's ideals, values, and motives. I think and in this final fight, it's not just Creed versus Dame. It's I've earned where I'm at versus I'm taking the shortcut to where I'm at.
Right.
And I lived my life. I have responsibilities versus I'm going to be reckless with what I'm getting. And I think I think you see that in their fight, and I think that's why, again, at the end of the film, there's moments where people meet in the middle and realize wrongs have been done, and there's it's a good wrap up to that fight. It's not that they're not lifelong enemies anymore. I'll just put it that way. I like that because there were and I didn't even notice this until I was watching the trailer during the review. But there's so many moments where Dame, when he first shows up, where he's taken to these parties and these gatherings for her music, for the wife's music, and even when he comes to their home, he looks scared. Like he looks like he is completely out of his element. And it's really funny because later on in the movie, there's kind of a turn where, now he's the cocky one and he's on top. And I never once felt like he was setting this whole thing up from the beginning. I think in the beginning, he really was scared of the world that he had come back to. And he also didn't know how to live in that kind of world, but there was a sense of jealousy that B. Jordan's got a wife and got a daughter and he's got it all.
He has the life he thinks he should have had.
Yes. But I don't feel like at the beginning of them meeting again, there's any ill intent. I think it really is like, I wish I was in your spot, but I'm going to be happy for you because you're good. I think he sees an opportunity and takes it, and then that's when the turn happens in their relationship. I think it's like when he sees Adonis's,
the life that has taken him even beyond the ring, and then the wife, the kid. I think it becomes very much he becomes a study. He's studying and he's learning how to manipulate this to best benefit him, and I think that does turn into a key plot point that's revealed later on with Dame, and that he is very calm, cool, collect, but he's calculated.
Yeah, he's also
and he. I mean, even through his fighting style, he makes it blatantly obvious, whether it's with the kind of cheap shots he throws out first. I think it was Sean, you pointed this out, and I loved it, but even in their final fight, it was like he didn't play dirty.
Yeah, he didn't.
And it was like he wanted it to be respectful.
No prison rules at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was like, but he would play by those rules to get to that point, to just prove that not only was he worthy to step in the ring, but then it was like, okay, now I'm back to, this has got to be a fair fight. I got to win this on my own to prove myself.
Yeah.
And I do think he made sure, he was even talking about how, the fighting style that he learned while he was in prison, and he learned some different techniques. The way he puts it to Adonis, he's like, I got a few techniques you haven't seen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like these, I wouldn't
Yeah.
say they're dirty in terms of like, oh, they're illegal. There's one move specifically that is.
Yeah.
But there is most of it is just kind of cheap shots.
Yeah.
And trying to really break somebody, and it's just like,
And
okay,
he's willing to take the penalty
Right.
points because he knows he's going to knock him out.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what ultimately wins.
and that's ultimately
Yeah.
he's more worried about just the defeat.
Yeah.
And again,
points don't matter if you knock
I-
the guy out.
I do think a little bit rushed, and again, why I would probably knock off a little bit of a star was just some of the elements of. I mean, you really don't know a time span that the movie fills.
Yeah.
It's several months, but the way in which they're jumping from like, oh, titles are over changing hands to the now we're into the amped up training scene before the final fight. There was a little it never feels rushed. I
Yeah.
don't want to say that. That's
Yeah,
not right.
that's
It
what's
can
the
be six.
pacing,
It can be
but-
6 months to a year before a fight.
Right.
Once
Yeah.
they schedule it.
And I feel like
it's-
in all the other movies, you really feel the length of time that goes on. Where they're
Oh,
like,
they
we
even
have-
tell you. They're just like, we're planning it now, but you're going to fight next October.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's a year.
because that's part of the
Yeah.
point of the training montage is like you're covering this gap
Right.
and how long they're training.
They
from-
don't just run on the beach
Yeah.
one afternoon.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
it's months
they're
that
training
they're training.
for a year to get
Yeah.
ready. So it's one of those things where I agree with this one, even though there is a training montage.
Yeah.
So time has passed. It really doesn't convey, I think, the length of time.
Right.
Because we know for a fact that there's been at least 6 months over the course of the movie just waiting for the original fight that the guy that he's training at the beginning of the movie is supposed to have.
Yeah.
So and then after that fight from that point to when Michael B. Jordan steps back in the ring, we're not really given a clear indication of how long that is.
Yeah, and that would be the only knock against it. Again, it's nitpicky.
It is, but-
I'm with you on the 3.5 stars. It is absolutely by far which we're only into March. We're not even too far into March, so really 2 months into the year. But this is definitely
we know
a
what's
movie
coming
to
in the
see.
future, so
We've got a lot of heavy hitters coming.
there are a lot of heavy hitters.
Rolling out.
No
I don't
pun
have as
intended.
many.
Hey-o.
I don't have as much hope for a lot of the future movies as for this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But there's
No,
a couple.
same.
There's a couple I still think would like John Wick 4. I think could still be in the vein of this and Top Gun because the others have been.
True.
There's a couple of I think movies that.
You mean movies that aren't woke?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much. Yeah, no, that's
that are just that
sad but true.
that focus on entertaining.
Exactly.
Yes.
I say movies that actually entertain for once.
The John Wick
imagine
series
that.
has done that so far, so I'm hopeful the fourth one will continue to do that. And outside
Well,
of
and
that,
that's
I'd have to
another
look
thing.
at others.
It's crazy because we brought it up briefly about the values, and it's like I look at Creed 1 through this 3.
They have good-
and it's like
good
they're-
values,
yeah,
yeah.
very good values.
Well, they evolve.
And-
His values and what means everything to him evolves from the first movie, which signifies growth. And I figure, I feel like
The
if you're
same-
you got to have that growth in your character to make them still
Well,
interesting.
and it was the same, love that I had for Rocky and the movies that he brought forth.
Yeah.
I mean, it was this overcoming these inevitable, or these incredible odds, and it was just like.
But seeing how the things through like Rocky and Creed, like each phase of their life, because they never
Yes.
hide the fact that they are older each movie. So seeing how the challenges that they face are different at those points in life, because that's true to real life.
Right.
Like the challenges I have as a
and we-
30-year-old are completely different than what I worried
Absolutely.
about as a 20-year-old.
And we
Yeah.
talked about how the other great thing about this, you look at the Rocky movies and when they came out versus also the Creed movies, all of them were spaced about 3 years apart. And if you think about it, it's like it's incredible to think that
I think
look
some
when
longer
you
than that, yeah.
when you take the time to actually really nail out a story and figure out what the right direction is, you can nail down
Good
some
things
incredible plot points that actually make a story worth telling and doing another one.
In fact, all three of the movies that
It's not just a cash grab.
all three of the movies we've kind of enjoyed most, I felt have done, because this, Top Gun, even Avatar 2, we complimented how much better the story was because they took the
Yes.
time
All
to get
sequels,
it right.
Yeah.
by the way.
Which is funny because we were just bashing franchises like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, but
But it can be done right.
But we did say that it's not so much that we hate franchises at this point; it's just that they're played out and they're not creative.
Exactly.
they're just content.
It's the franchises that are bloated,
there's
that
no-
are continual. Marvel having 3 movies a year.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just overload.
We got to see actual character growth, like Sean said, but with Iron Man, Captain America. But when you look at their characters now, Thor, they actually regressed his
Yes,
character
Thor
development.
is terrible.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where it's like Marvel is too busy setting everybody back to zero rather than having their characters have actual growth. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't. Doctor Strange didn't learn a damn thing throughout his he keeps messing with crap and time, and he's still not learned that.
And he's
to be humble.
his character is supposed to be like the wisest of all of the like Avengers and stuff.
He's
like,
had to learn
supposed
humility in every single movie he's been in. It's like how many times do you have to teach?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how many times do you have to teach him humility before you just write him off as an asshole who shouldn't be a hero?
Well, because
Not
the
the
last
Sorcerer Supreme.
the
no.
last audience didn't know he had to learn that. So now
Yeah,
this
well,
audience,
yeah.
All right. I think we're ready to move on to something else more humiliating, which is the Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
So let's roll the headline open. Here it is. It's that. That's right. Well, is it working though?
Have the
Is it?
Oscars worked in the last decade?
We're about to find out this
Slow.
Sunday. Let's get them out, guys. Let's
Every
get our
year's
picks.
worse and worse. I have mine already up, and I also have the Oscars page with what's been
Okay,
nominated.
good, because we're obviously going to have to go through the noms and then tell our picks. We got a ton of categories here.
Are we going to start from the bottom up? Yours
Yeah.
aren't in the same order as on the thing, but that's okay. Theirs are in alphabetical order.
So
And
yeah.
yours
But if we
are-
start from the bottom up, which will be
Yeah.
visual effects, let's do the noms. Then
well,
we'll
I've
go
got
around and
visual effects pulled up if you want me to start, and we can just move around.
we'll do our picks of what we want to win and what we think will win. Okay.
Are we going to name all the categories first, or do you want to do like?
We'll just do it one by one.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. That makes more sense than
Yep.
trying to make people remember.
You
every
go
now and
ahead,
then.
Keith.
So yeah, visual effects. The nominees are for All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun: Maverick. I was a little split on this because I love the practical effects in Top Gun: Maverick so much, but I did hit it with I think we'll win Avatar. And I'm still kind of split on who I want to win between Avatar and Top Gun, because Avatar's CGI is amazing, but
Yeah.
the practical effects in Top Gun, I'm just like, I would choose that 100% over CGI any
but
day.
you had to write down something.
I did. I put Avatar as who I
And
think
who-
will win.
Okay, and what about who you want?
I have it split between. We don't point on those, so I didn't think it mattered.
Okay, we
I
have
mean-
pointed on them in the
Yeah.
past.
Have we?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did. I think starting
For
like
who I
last year,
want to
it was like
win?
half a point if you got. If here was the thing.
Well, then I would always put who I want to win as who I think will win, so that I
no.
get more
The,
points.
the way we did it was you get half a point if the one you want to win actually won. So like if
well,
you
then I'd
wanted,
still just cheat and put
If
them
you
all
get
as who I
if you
think will win.
get if you
but
get the
gosh,
Oscar
it's-
pick correct, you get a
Yeah.
point. If you wanted it to also,
I'll go
You
with
get
Top
half a
Gun.
point.
then.
Yeah, 'cause
I would
there's-
rather Avatar I think deserves it for the CGI, but the practical effects. So I will say want to win Top Gun, but I do think Avatar will get
okay,
it.
all right.
Yeah.
So lock it in because
It's
remember,
locked in.
all right, good
mine's
deal.
locked in.
So
Okay.
Sean, what about you?
I have Avatar to win and Avatar want to win.
All right,
See,
same.
now he's already gonna get more points.
Avatar, I want to win, and Avatar, I think
Well, I
will
changed
win.
mine because I want that point.
But there's plenty of times where I think the Academy will vote this way, but I want them to vote this
Oh, I
way.
know, yeah, I
So
know.
that means you
Yeah.
might not get
Fine,
the points.
all right, then
Yeah,
we're not doing half points. We're not doing it. We're just only
I
going to
just
do
don't remember
points.
doing the half points. It's
We
okay.
did before.
We did.
I'm just
We
saying
did.
that's
Yeah.
the point. If you say I want this to win, but I think this
I'll
will
stick
win.
with Top Gun. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
All right, let's move on to makeup and hairstyling.
Me.
I didn't. You want me? I can
Keith,
keep
you
going.
go
you,
first.
I
you're
just
the only
thought-
one I think got the
I
categories
think
pulled
I
up.
thought we were just rotating. I gotta
I don't have them pulled up. I just
gotta
have
scroll
my
through-
I have my sheet pulled up.
because ours aren't in the same order. So let me throw it up there. Makeup and hairstyling, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. I did put. We're here. You want to start with who you want?
Yeah, Sean.
I don't
you
want
go
to have
ahead.
to start every time.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I think the Whale will win, and I want the Whale to win.
All right, Keith. What about you?
I think The Whale will win, but I actually want the Batman to win.
Oh wow,
I think
we're
Colin
all split
Farrell.
on this
Yeah,
one.
Colin Farrell's the Penguin. I
Penguin,
think.
yeah.
Fair point.
I
Good.
think I think it nudges. I mean, I know you have Brendan Fraser in the whole fat suit, but it's still. It looks like Brendan Fraser in a fat suit. Like it's believable.
No, that
Like,
is a pretty impressive
No, but
fat
I'm just
suit.
saying, it's
Saying,
believable,
that
but
ain't
it's
fat
like
bastard. That's really
But when you look at the
good.
Penguin and Colin Farrell, there's plenty of people who can't tell that that's Colin Farrell.
So here's this is what drew the line for me between those two. I'll say this. In the Whale, you see his full naked body.
Yeah, I know.
In Batman, you just see his face.
I just still
the
think
makeup is on his face.
Did
I
you really
agree.
want to see the Penguin's full naked body?
I'm just saying they didn't just do his face and put a pillow in his shirt. They gave him a
I'm
full
sure he
body
was in
fat
I'm
suit.
sure he was in a full body bat suit with they just didn't make sure it looked as good because they didn't need to.
I'm just saying that to me that goes into the
Oh,
makeup and
I agree.
hairstyle.
I just still think the Penguin was more impressive because you can't you can't see.
Well, it's
Colin
funny
Farrell
because
in the
we're
role.
all split on this.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I actually picked. I think All Quiet will win, and I want All Quiet to win.
for makeup
hair and
and
makeup?
Mm-hmm.
I've actually seen most people,
Yep.
most predictions picking Elvis because he looks so much like Elvis.
Oh god, the guy looks like Elvis naturally. They didn't have
yeah,
to do anything
and I was
to
gonna
him.
say, plus not only that, but I think he's
that's
thin.
the Gold
He's
Derby.
too thin.
That was the Gold Derby pick, and while I do
Yeah.
trust them most of the time, I was
Yeah.
just like, I disagree. I think the whale's going to.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I think when you talk about just also makeup and hairstyling, you're going into.
Well, I'm not worried about losing the point on this one. I think Brandon's wrong. No.
Well, that's fine.
No, you might be
this-
right.
This
With
is where we always
Oscars,
split
you
hairs.
You never know.
I do
Yeah,
think
so-
we're mostly different when it comes to the technical ones, and then
Yeah.
we all kind of tend to agree
Well,
around
and
some
it's
of
like
the,
to me, I'm just thinking of like the when they're in the trenches and they fall down in the mud.
Oh,
and
no,
the mud is
it's
crusted.
it is really good.
Yeah, so I don't know that to me just
Well,
overall.
Okay.
Next one, original
right-
song.
Yep, original song.
I know you got to find it.
I'm gonna have it.
Maybe
pulled up.
I'll rearrange this list to be alphabetical next year.
Well, it's not under.
So
I guess
that-
it's under a song because it's not under.
It's at the very bottom.
I
yeah.
looked at it. It was under original song.
Oh, it's under writing. No,
Are you on the Oscars website?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Oscars website.
Okay, yeah,
has
it's at the
Sound,
bottom.
short film,
Song
short
original.
film, production. Nope, best
No, it is.
picture.
It's-
music. It's under music.
a music original
So
song.
it's not at the
Okay,
bottom. It's
I
in the
gotcha.
middle. Yeah,
It
music.
was in the middle, Brandon. God.
Sorry.
It's in alphabetical order except for best adapted screenplay, which is towards the bottom.
All
for
right, what's on
whatever
that
reason.
list?
Original song, Applause, which is from Tell It Like a Woman. I don't know what that is. Hold My Hand, which is from Top Gun. It's the Lady Gaga song. Lift Me Up, which is from Black Panther. Natu Natu, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's the one from RRR. This Is a Life, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh.
Do you want to start us off this time, Brandon?
Yeah, I've actually got for this one. I think "Lift Me Up" from Wakanda Forever is going to win. I think they're going to give it something, and that's the only category I think it has
Okay.
any hope of
I
winning.
almost went there. I understand that mindset, but I
Yeah.
did pick something else.
But I ended up what I want to win is Natu Triple R.
I picked that as Think Will and Want because
They're going to try to give some love to Triple R.
they
I think that's
praised,
the only thing it'll win.
Well, it's the only
is
thing it's
the
the
only
song.
thing it's nominated.
It's the only thing
for.
it's
Yeah.
nominated for. That's why I think it'll
I
win.
think it'll win.
Because they've been praising it so much, but they didn't get nominated for anything else.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
I think they're going to give it to
Yeah.
it just because. Well, we got to give
Truly,
it something.
truly a missed opportunity for the Oscars to award real art.
So you have it.
There's a couple of them.
You have it to win, and you want it to win.
Yeah, I have it both.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're on to score. Correct.
Original song.
Score.
Score.
We just did
Score.
song.
My
Gosh,
bad.
you're such an idiot. Score is All Quiet on the Western Front, Baby Lonnie, Babylon, the Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fablemans. I, for score, have picked All Quiet, even though I hated it. I think because they keep praising it. And for once, I actually... Did I put... Yeah, for once I put Banshees. I had to think
coffee
about
burp.
it. For one, I put Banshees just because nothing else impressed me.
For what you wanted.
Yeah.
Honestly, this was hard to pick
It
because
is.
I really was not impressed by
of
anything this
them.
year.
No.
I ended up picking Justin Hurwitz from Babylon. to win, and then because I think they're going to give it something.
I have that for something else that I think they're going
But
to give it.
I ultimately ended up going with Sun Lux. Everything or Everything Everywhere is a want to.
Yeah, I went with Banshees one too because I did actually like, even though it was subtle, I liked that better than any of the others. And they keep praising All Quiet's soundtrack, even though that horn's so god awful.
I hate that damn horn.
Go ahead.
What'd you pick?
I think All Quiet will win it, and
Okay.
I want All Quiet to
There
win
we go.
it
You
because
like the
I
horn.
think the horn was the most menacing sound that
Yeah.
it scared the piss out of me every time it came on.
Every
and I just thought,
Moment
Man,
that
it pulled me out.
it
Oh,
totally
no.
ruined the moment.
I
It
just
took
felt
me
like
out
this
I
was
had this
just.
emotional, deep moment, and I
See, I
There
heard
that.
it had the opposite effect on me. It just scared the hell out of me.
That's probably the effect it's had on most of the Academy because they seem to really like that soundtrack.
Okay.
I don't know. Now we're moving
Production
on
design.
to
Production design.
product departure.
Product
Yeah,
design?
product departure. All right. Production design.
I knew
That's
you
how
all would hate
jarring
me.
it was.
Here
That's
we
how
go.
jarring it was.
Here we go. Production design. All Quiet on the Western Front. Avatar. Babylon. Elvis and the Fablemans. Your turn, Sean.
My turn. I have All Quiet for both. I think it will win production design, and I would like for it to win.
I have it down as Babylon to win, and I want All Quiet to win.
I actually did Babylon to win. I think that's the one they'll throw Babylon's way. And I actually picked Avatar, for want to win because,
I see that.
I'd be fine.
I think All Quiet's going to clean up.
I liked All Quiet as well.
I do too.
I did really like that one, but I don't know. I felt like I liked really what he did with the world in Avatar, even so much better than the first one. So
true that, absolutely.
Okay, so now we got sound. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick.
I think this one's pretty easy.
Brandon.
I'm going with Top Gun Maverick to win, and I want it to win.
I also have Top Gun Maverick to win and want to win.
I have All Quiet to win, but I want Top Gun to win.
Okay, there we go.
Fair enough.
I think Top Gun will get something just because it's so popular, and that's the one I think it's going to get.
Yep.
Film editing.
Well,
it's right here. No, I mean, what throws me off is they have.
I'm going to put that on the soundboard.
No, listen.
And then we can hit it anytime.
Do you know?
It'll scare me every time.
It actually would be faster, but what throws me off is the fact that they have Best Picture in with the M's. Everything's in alphabetical, but then randomly in the M's is Best Picture. So every time I hit every time I hit that B, I think I've gone too far, and I'm like, crap, no, I'm not gone to the top. That's just they have that there for some dumb reason.
Oscars, fix your damn website.
Right. Film editing, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Tar, Top Gun. So I have for film editing, I think Everything Everywhere will win. I actually want Top Gun to win.
Okay, Sean, what about you?
So I actually put their names. I have Paul Rogers, and I can't even remember.
That's Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, I think that will win film editing.
Is that the radio guy?
Just because of all of the just because of all of the jumping around that film does.
I think it's going to win.
I think
film
that's
editing.
tough to do. I have Eddie Hamilton as who I want to win.
And that's Top Gun.
For Top Gun.
We're the same on that one.
I'm actually in the boat with y'all, but also different. I want everything to win, and I think it will win.
Okay.
So I'm actually
you actually want that one to win.
Yep.
Okay. The Cinematographica. That's All Quiet on the Western Front. Bardo, the movie that no one saw.
Pretty much.
Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. I think. Oh man.
This one I did put the name down for the cinematographer.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I didn't even pay attention. I put All Quiet as who I think will win, but then I realized just now Roger Deakins for Empire of Light, and I actually think they'll hand it to Roger Deakins.
See, he won for 1917. They're not going to give it to him again.
That's true.
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I just
he's their pop. He's like the John Williams of cinematography.
Yeah, he really is.
That's why I'm second guessing it. No, I'm not gonna retype it. I'm keeping it All Quiet. And I did have All Quiet as who I want to win.
Okay, Sean, what about you?
Same, All Quiet across the board.
I've got All Quiet across the board.
Okay.
Yep.
I saw that Roger Deakins, but I'm like, you know what though? They got tired of John Williams, so they might be tired of Roger Deakins too.
There you go.
Original screenplay. So that one is at the bottom. Writing: The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness.
Did you watch that movie?
I did.
I'm going to watch it this week.
I did.
I still need to watch Women Talking and
because I reviewed it, like the week.
I was gone. Yeah.
Yep.
That's bizarre, but I liked it actually. I was entertained.
Is it back around to me, or is it your turn now?
It was Sean. We can go with Sean.
I have Banshees across the board.
Okay. I actually have. I think Everything Everywhere is going to win, and I want Banshees to win.
I have Banshees across the board as well because I think they'll give it something, and that's the only thing I have them giving it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's continue on to the next category.
Well, that would be adapted screenplay,
which is the most bizarre category for them to include sequels in.
Because it's a sequel, so it's adapted.
Dumb.
I know it's
dumb.
All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking.
What do y'all think?
Well, it was your turn to go first.
Okay.
But I can go first.
Here's the weird thing. I actually put, because I think they want to give it something, Women Talking will win, and I want Top Gun Maverick to win.
That's exactly who I have. I think they'll give it to Women Talking, and I want Top Gun to win.
Wow.
I have Women Talking across the board.
Oh,
he wants it to win.
All right, cool deal.
That's fair.
This next one I'm a little bit more invested in.
Animated feature. Actually, there's two really good ones there, but I think Pinocchio will. Well, we should
Well, yeah,
probably
yeah, do the
announce
noms.
them. Pinocchio from Guillermo. Yeah. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. I have Pinocchio across the board. I wouldn't be upset if Marcel won, but I do have Pinocchio.
I was
across
saying,
the board.
Marcel is hilarious. It's freaking funny.
Oh,
as
and
hell.
did you watch it?
I haven't seen it.
I mean,
Yes.
they did an interview with the what's her name that does the voice?
Okay.
Which is
The actress, yeah.
she was fantastic.
It started as YouTube shorts.
Yes,
because
I know about it.
I saw the YouTube shorts before they ever made a movie, and I thought the shorts were hilarious. So the movie is really well done.
But I did not end up picking. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I
Yours?
said Pinocchio across the board.
Okay, Sean. What about you?
Pinocchio across the board.
I'm actually picking Pinocchio across the board.
As this,
Same
I
thing.
think
Puss in
that's
Boots was
the
good.
what?
Puss in Boots was good. And to be honest with you, if you haven't seen it on Netflix, Sea Beast is actually a good movie.
I've heard. I have not seen it. I've heard.
What's interesting
the
though
Sea Beast is really good.
is amongst our conversation, none of us are talking about Pixar.
Well, that's because
Well,
Turning
no.
Red was a
Yep.
turd.
Turning
That's
Red
the
is-
only movie
Yeah.
that got nominated,
Yeah,
and
it's crap.
even it wasn't worth the real discussion.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's just Pixar better not.
Isn't that
turn
weird?
up.
Because Turning Red came out
In March,
before.
it was like March or April.
That came out before Strange World and Lightyear.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but it was
Lightyear was in the summer, and Strange World was at the end of the
But
year.
of the three, it was the most popular, and even then, it still
What?
wasn't popular.
Plus-
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Nobody
Strange
saw
World
Lightyear
was
or
Disney
Strange World.
animation, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Turning Red was and Lightyear were Pixar.
Well,
Strange World was
nobody
Disney.
saw Tar either, but it's still a nominee. I'm just like, I can't believe
But
Pixar
it-
didn't get nominated for one of their super woke ones. Turning Red was woke enough, but I really thought.
But Lightyear was
Strange
not well
World or-
received critically or by audiences,
And neither was Strange World.
and
yeah.
Strange World wasn't either. It was
I just
overlooked.
think,
It was a flop.
And if actually, Strange
They're all
World
garbage.
didn't get good reviews, and nobody saw it. So I completely
Homophobics,
understand that one.
everybody.
That's it.
It
Okay.
happens. It happens.
This one I love.
All right, let's
Actress in a supporting role. This one I had some fun with. Okay, nominations: Angela Bassett, Hong Chow. I hope I said that right. Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Stephanie Sue.
go. Here's what's funny. Who's up first? I don't know.
I'll go first.
All right.
So supporting actress, I actually did put Angela Bassett because she's won a few acting awards for this already, and I don't know.
I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Like you said, Black Panther's going to win something. I think that's the one they're going to give it. They're going to be like, Angela Bassett, she's our queen. Yeah. They didn't.
we would Kang.
They
She's
didn't,
our
do,
queen.
they didn't do Viola Davis.
the
so they
real
got-
woman Kang.
They didn't do it for Viola Davis, so they got to give it to Angela Bassett. And then for Want to Win, I have Carrie Condon because I thought she was phenomenal.
I have exactly the same.
Okay.
I think Angela
I-
Bassett will win.
You
But
couldn't
Actually-
do it. You couldn't do it, could you?
No, I
Did you
don't
put
think
Stephanie
she's
Sue
going to win
for
it.
everything?
I did.
Okay.
I put her for Everything Everywhere is going to win, and then I honestly think Everything Everywhere is going to like sweep the acting noms.
I have the others, but not. We'll get there, but not.
I
for that
wanted
one.
Carrie Condon to win for Banshees.
Yeah, she was phenomenal.
Yep.
Supporting actor: Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch, Fableman's Barry Keegan, Banshees, and Ki Hui Kwan, who is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I ended up going with Ki Hui Kwan.
Ki Hui.
I'm just
Kwan.
going to call him.
Kiwi Kwan.
Oh gosh,
I had to
I must have had
look
a
up-
typo because I got me guy Kwan.
Well, mine says
Siri took
mine,
over.
mine
Bosu
beats
guy
both. No,
with an
mine
egg
beats
roll?
both of yours. Mine says Ki Hui Karan. So
how do you spell it? How's it actually spelled?
Q-U-A-N. It's K-E.
No.
K-E
K-E
space H-U-Y.
H-U-I? How did
Y,
the hell did
Y.
it get
short
that?
round. Just call him short
Well,
round.
H-U-Y?
H-U-Y space and then Q-U-A-N. I had to Google,
Okay.
I always Google how to pronounce the names for the reviews now, so I actually
it.
know how to say these.
K-U Kwan.
Ki Kwan.
It's short round. Just say that.
I have him winning, and I want Brendan Gleeson. Yep.
Same.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually am a little different than you guys. I think he's gonna win for Everything Everywhere.
Did
but
you pick Barry?
Actually, Barry. Yeah, Keegan.
I was close to picking Barry because both of those were
almost
good,
did.
but I gave it to Gleeson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
So then we got lead actress now, and that's Kate Blanchett Tar, Ana de Armas Blonde, Andrea Riceborough to Leslie, Michelle Williams the Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I have
That's what I'm
coffee's
thinking about
got me
someone
going.
else.
I don't have any doubt in my mind on this one.
He's drinking more.
Yeah, get it.
It's like I gotta have more.
I was gonna say I don't have any doubt in my mind on this one. I'm pretty sure Michelle Yeoh is going to
She's going
walk
to.
away with
She's had a clean
supporting.
sweep
Yeah.
all season.
She's
long.
gonna get lead actress. And I actually put Kate Blanchett as one to win.
Oh. Wow. I'm right there with you. I think she's going to win for Everything Everywhere, and I want Kate Blanchett to win for
Tar wasn't my favorite, but I did think she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett was awesome. Sean,
I have Michelle to win, and I actually have Ana de Armas for Blonde that I want to win. If you haven't seen it, it's good.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd be the only person that I've heard good
Yeah,
things.
it's gotten terrible
I liked her.
everywhere.
I liked her in the movie.
No, wait, her, yeah.
There's reasons for
No,
that.
I mean, no. I thought her acting was great.
Good enough
in
to
the
carry the movie?
Well, I mean, obviously the Academy thought her acting was good too.
Yeah.
So, did you say who you had? Oh, you said Michelle. Yeah.
Same as you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So now we're moving on to lead actor because that's more important than actress anyway.
Yikes. That's going to get women talking.
Yeah. Actor in a leading role: Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser, The Whale, Paul Mescal, After Sun, and Bill Nye, Living. I'll go already. I have lead actor winning. I think Brendan Fraser will get this. I actually have want to win Colin Farrell. And I was very close. I have a theory about this. I'll say after we all say it. So go
Sean,
ahead.
what about you?
I have the opposite. I think Colin Farrell will win. I think Brendan Fraser's going to get snubbed.
Wow.
I don't think he's going to win. But I want him to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe he's going to win. He's going to make a clean sweep through all the award season. And I also want, this is the odd pick, and I'm going to be definitely in the minority here. I'm picking Austin Butler for Elvis.
Oh, you want Austin Butler?
I do.
So
I just, that was the only redeeming part of that movie. I know people have ribbed the movie. I don't think the movie is exceptional in any way, but I think he pegged the performance.
I'm sticking with Brendan Fraser as who I want or who I think will win, but I do have a theory of what could happen with Brendan Fraser and Austin Butler being the two top contenders that everybody keeps fighting over. I do wonder if maybe the vote will be split and Colin Farrell will win that way because he'll get enough to beat both of them because of the split vote. I do think that could happen, in which case you would win because you think he's going to win.
And you would never know that until after. Because you don't get to see who voted for what. Yeah,
they don't show who voted for what, so you wouldn't know. But I do think that it's possible because
you could totally, if Colin Farrell gets it, you could totally be like, I called that.
Because Austin Butler won.
And we're not going to be able to.
We got proof right here. This is it.
Austin Butler won the Golden Globe, but Brendan Fraser has won everything else. So I really think, that if the vote gets split, then Colin Farrell will get it. But I'm sticking with, I think Fraser's going to win and Colin Farrell I want to win. But here we go.
Let's move up to the last big two.
The director. Here we are. Oh my! So Martin McDonagh for Banshees, the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, the Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. I think that they'll give Steven Spielberg this for his magnum opus.
Wow!
What? Yeah.
Wow!
I do. I think they will go with it.
Oh wow!
I want Martin McDonagh to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sean, what about you?
I think the directors are going to win.
Yep.
But I want Martin McDonagh to win.
Same as Sean. I think Everything Everywhere is going to walk home with this one, and I want Martin McDonagh.
So best, let me scroll down to the M's
The
here.
last one is the one that I went just completely.
Look, here goes.
I went crazy.
we got
this is it. Best picture.
Makeup and hairstyle, music original score, music original song, best picture, and then after that, production design. I don't know.
All right.
Here we go. Best picture. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking.
I believe Everything Everywhere All at Once will win Best Picture. This is where I went a little crazy. It was between two.
Me too.
But I came down on what I want to win is Top Gun. And I know it's a far cry from what anybody would pick.
Yeah.
Most people would be like, why that one? Because it was the most popular film last year? Yeah, probably.
Well, because it's my favorite out of all of them.
I was going to say, of all the ones, it is the most rewatchable. I loved Banshees. That was the other one it was between. Yeah. But ultimately, I came down on Maverick because it is the one that I will continue to enjoy for years to come. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing Best Picture winners of movies I could care less to watch again.
Yeah.
And so I was like, look, Steven Spielberg said it himself. He was like, Tom Cruise, you and Top Gun Maverick saved theaters' asses this year.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here saying, well, let's reward it for such.
Yeah.
Let's give it the best and highest honor of the
I
year.
agree.
And everybody who gets pissed off and mad at that, if they did win, I could sit there and say, you know what?
But it deserves
Shows how hoity-toity and uppity you are and pretentious you think you are for what
I think
the Academy should uphold as the best picture.
of all the movies, yeah, I agree. Of all the movies they've showcased that are nominated for Best Picture, I think it's the only one that actually deserves it, not because it is what I would think of as a normal Best Picture caliber film, but because it is, in my mind, the Best Picture of 2022. But I have, for winning, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once will win. I did put for one to win Banshees, not Top Gun. But, I mean, I would absolutely love to see Top Gun win. I just don't think it's going to in any way or form. But,
Nope, same.
Yeah.
I have Top Gun. I want to win. This is where I went off the rails. I think Triangle of Sadness will win Best Picture.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Because
threw it
I
in a
think,
ringer.
I think it has just the message,
The woke message.
the messaging that the Academy looks
Hey,
for.
That was, yeah, it
I-
absolutely has that message.
That's the only reason
and honestly,
that I think they'll go that route.
I think of a movie
be,
like, Spotlight
Yeah.
came out of nowhere and
Yeah.
won, and it was strictly, I think, for message-based reasons.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, that has been the trend for the last several years.
Well,
of the
yeah, we'll
Oscars.
see what happens.
So
for
there
sure.
it is. Those are our picks. Once you all send me those lists after the show tonight, I'll compile it so that I can put it all in one list. And then, of course, on the Oscar night, we'll tally the votes after we get all of the winners announced. And yeah, it'll be fun time on next week's show to figure out who won.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a fun day. What do y'all get? You're gonna get an ice cream sandwich,
I'd take that. No.
and it's like
No,
Sean
no.
already had it.
I take that back. I don't want an ice cream sandwich, but I would take. I was gonna say a Ben and Jerry's, but I don't want to support them anymore either. So I'll figure it out.
I'll get you a Halo Top.
Yeah,
pint.
Halo.
There
I like
you
Halo.
go.
You can do
Halo
with that.
Top's good.
There you go.
Nice
I'll support
low-fat
that.
ice cream.
Give me a.
There you go.
Give me a he/him bar.
Hey, we have them ordered. They're coming. We're gonna taste test them on the show. Nuts and nutless.
Well, that's the he/him and the she/her.
That's
so.
right. And
I'm going to go with the nutless myself.
I asked the question.
I bet-
Nobody
I definitely will
answered
go
me.
with nuts.
I asked in the thread on Twitter. I said, if I want nutless, does that make me trans? So I have yet to hear a response.
Yeah.
I think it just means you like women.
I'm making a prediction.
Very good point.
I'm making
I
a
prefer
prediction.
my chocolate without nuts.
There you go.
Oh,
I
I
like
love-
the way you
like
think
like
about
I
it.
like my women.
There you go.
My chocolate. I want my chocolate to be nutty, like my women.
No. I was saying I like my.
I just
I
want to
like
make
my
a prediction.
chocolate women nutty.
Can I? Yes. I'm gonna make a prediction, and I bet that these chocolate bars taste like chocolate.
I bet they do.
Yeah.
And they taste like delicious.
No, I don't think they're
bigotry,
gonna be anything-
which is so
You
good.
think
I don't
they
think
will taste like chocolate, or you want them to taste like chocolate?
I think they will. I don't. I'm predicting they probably don't taste like anything special, but that's not the point. So
I'm predicting it's a Hershey bar wrapped in Jeremy's chocolate wrapping.
I mean, let's put it this
I
way:
don't-
it can't taste
'Cause all
exactly
chocolate
like
comes from
Hershey's.
Hershey's.
well, that's my thing. Is I bet it just. I bet there's not really a huge discernible difference. I don't
there's
know.
like one other
the
company
weird thing,
in
though.
Pittsburgh that makes
There
chocolate.
is so much better chocolate than Hershey's.
Yes,
out
there is.
But Hershey's is the iconic chocolate bar
Well, it's just
for America.
and that's just on
Which
the,
is
you go in
sad
a
that
gas
it went
I
station.
down
mean,
this
it's like
road.
it's like Keith said though. There's like all these other chocolates that you're like, oh, this is so much better than Hershey's, and then when
They're
you read
owned
the
by
label,
Hershey's.
they're owned by
Yeah.
Hershey's.
I agree. I think
And I-
Cadbury chocolate tastes better than Hershey's chocolate.
It's
but
made by Hershey's,
but
it's
it is-
probably made on the same
but it's
freaking
made-
chocolate
no,
line.
I mean it is.
I
Different
think they have
chocolate.
a different formula.
No,
yeah.
it is.
Well, it costs
Different chocolate.
more, so I think they do put different levels of cocoa.
Well,
or
and you got to
whatever,
think
but-
Hershey's over the years has just bought. I mean, Reese's chocolate is not the same as Hershey's chocolate, and it's like, but Reese's is owned by Hershey's.
Yeah.
yeah.
And yet it's gonna. They just buy up brands as they've gotten to be a huge.
But it's one of
conglomerate.
those things. I do wonder.
Hell, they have freaking Skinny Pop popcorn. They've got so many
Yeah.
other
My
brands that
wife
aren't
has
even
a
chocolate.
huge bag of that in the basement right now.
Go rip it up.
I do
It's
wonder.
terrible
Stomp
popcorn.
on
It's
who
not
is-
popcorn.
It's
'cause
actually, it doesn't
obviously-
have a taste.
No.
Obviously, they're
That's why you get
partnering
skinny,
with
'cause you
somebody
eat it
to
and
make
throw
this.
up.
Like I don't think that that Daily Wire just all of a sudden got up and running a chocolate factory and as
No,
making
they've been
choc-
planning it.
So it's well, I think they're partnering with somebody. I think to make the chocolate.
Yeah.
And I wonder.
Well,
who.
well, just like the razors.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm not saying that. I just wonder like like I do wonder who. Like obviously, I trust them that they're not just buying Hershey's chocolate. and putting their brand
I
on
see
it.
what you're saying,
But
because
do
I mean, it was
wonder-
only a couple of. It wasn't even months between the time of
Well, I think
Harry's Razors and them.
Well, they are. The thing is, being in the media, I'm sure they've already known too, like kind of about some of this stuff before.
Well, I
the
was going to say
public
that
does.
the
maybe.
actual ad leaked like a month ago as to what it was going to be Hershey's.
Yeah.
And the
So
way
they
they
had a
didn't know
month to
about
get
the
this together.
trans thing, but I think they were already working on something, and I think it was probably going to be like kind of a joke. And then when they saw what happened and they put it out there, they were like, because the razors were the same way, and even when I ordered it,
We should
that-
probably get into
yeah,
story.
let's,
but, I mean,
let's
yeah.
skip
Yeah.
headlines and go straight to story time or whatever.
I know. Well, we might as well. But
Yeah.
Edie's
Well,
down
this
here,
was
she's tired.
basically. I think Oscars was the only headline we were really discussing.
Oh,
anyway,
it was.
right?
Yeah, we were going to
so-
go into relationship segment next.
Yeah, yeah.
But all I know is that we did order it. It's on its way. We got 4 bars coming to
Now,
taste
how much?
it.
Because I've heard they're expensive.
Well, 4 bars, I think, with the shipping and handling was the only thing that tacked on. But 4 bars, it was $35.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah,
It's expensive.
but
for
they're
4
also
bars.
like these huge bars.
Oh, are they that big?
They're not like small like
Okay.
Hershey bars. They're not.
Okay.
I mean, and if it tastes premium, I'm sure the price will come down. If
Oh yeah, no,
really,
it's just I understand because it's at this point it's kind of a novelty. Like you're not paying so much for the chocolate as you are to like stick it to Hershey's.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I get that. It's just one of those things at the same time though that I'm like. I'm not bashing Daily Wire. It's just one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like I'll like we said doing it to bash Hershey's is fun, but I'm not.
no,
gonna,
we're
Yeah.
gonna once we get them. Well, the thing,
But I'm
was
not
is-
going to continuously buy Daily Wire chocolate if they're $35 for 4 of them. So.
Right.
No, of
Yeah.
course not.
Yeah.
But it's like with the razors too. The prices come down on those,
Yeah,
and they've
yeah.
offered more products.
But also the razors makes sense as a subscription, so
Right.
I kind of get why you would pay that much anyway.
But it said when I actually finalized the order, it was going to take like a month to ship.
yeah,
So
they probably don't
they've
have them
gotta-
ready yet.
No,
they probably
It's like
already
you'll get your
jumped- yeah.
Tesla before you get your chocolate.
I don't know about that. Tesla's still like 6 months
Well,
behind.
I'm not fond of chocolate, but I do love things with nuts and stuff in them. So I'm glad you have the him sheet.
I know
Yeah.
you like that.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to our relationship segment.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called love.
That's
I
great.
love to do that
Every
with
time.
relationships.
For relationships,
Yeah, it's
yes.
perfect.
I mean, what better relationship than Anakin and Obi-Wan? Like,
That's the only
so
thing about
topsy-turvy.
the Obi-Wan miniseries I liked was just the brief moment with. But I mean, well, that's some another story.
yeah, that whole
Yeah.
series was brief.
All of Star Wars from Disney's been brief.
That's actually better than dragging it out too much like Marvel. So
Sean, you came up with tonight's topic.
you
I
did.
done forgot. What was it?
It's
It was relationships you wish you had,
Yeah,
or
you wish you
uh,
had. That's it. That's
or
it.
the relationship you miss, or what?
You
I
never
forgot
had.
which one we.
you wish you had.
You wish you had or never had.
Okay.
A relationship you wish you had.
Well, since I came up with it, one of you guys can start.
Okay, well, I can start. Yeah, I can start off. That's fair, because I know for me, like we all mentioned grandparents, and I never knew my dad's parents, my grandfather and grandmother. On the Cheatham side, I knew both of my moms. I was very close to my grandmother and grandfather on my mom's side of the family, but yeah, I never knew them. That is something I do wish I had gotten to at least have met them at some point, especially. I mean, both of them, but with my grandfather being a World War II vet who actually fought and who was on the sinking of the USS Leopoldville and had to jump from ship to survive. Like, it's just, there's those stories there that I wish I could have heard firsthand from him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's still cool hearing about that stuff about my family. And there's been a couple books written about that boat. My dad has bought both of them, and I would like to read them at some point. But it's just one of those things where there's definitely, I think, a lot there, and knowing how like large my dad's side of the family is, yet how tight knit a lot of them are, despite being such a huge family, that it is something that I know. For my mom's side of the family, I know my grandmother was definitely the glue that held everybody together. I'm not saying I don't know so much with my dad's side whether my grandfather was necessarily the glue, but I do know he was the moral compass that led that whole family, and that's just something that I'd like to have experienced.
Very nice. Sean?
Mine would have been, since I'm trying to think of a relationship that I wished I would have had, would have been my great grandfather, because I spent a lot of time at my great grandmother's house when I was younger, My great grandfather passed before I was ever born, but he, from what I've been told, he was a very interesting man, and he actually built almost every house on Deering Road. He built houses for a living. He built my aunt's house. He built my grandmother and grandfather's first house. The house my mom grew up in, and my great grandmother's house that she lived and died in.
Wow.
Almost all of those older houses on Deering Road he built, and they're all still there. So it's just I've heard a lot of stories about him. He was kind of quiet, but he was also when he spoke, he had the right stuff to say. And very, very similar. Like, I feel like he was someone that kind of led on that side of the family. Just would have been really cool to meet him, even if it would have just been for a couple of years when I was a kid. If I don't even know what he looked like. Like, I've seen photos, but obviously, even just to remember what he looked like from having seen him as, a little kid, I think would have been neat.
Yeah.
It's just something I'll never get to experience.
I'm sticking, I think, on the same theme here. It's grandparents. I only ever met my grandma on my mom's side, so my mom's mom, and I never knew my dad's parents. In fact, my dad's parents died really when he was young. I forget the exact ages, and I want to say that his mom passed first, and then his dad closer to when he was just almost out of high school, or he was like 16. It wasn't too much longer or before that, but it's like I just and then my mom's dad, he ended up passing. Oh gosh, it was I'm pretty sure it was lung cancer. I think I know he smoked quite a bit, but it's very weird because I just, again, kind of like you were alluding to, you hear stories, little things here and there. And even I think the weirdest part for me, and being involved in film is seeing any kind of visual. And you think about them not having, or at least it wasn't, it wasn't really afforded to people who were poor, but you didn't have a chance to video capture or capture elements of these people back in that time. And it's interesting because I would see pictures that they would have, and it was these iconic, like, very sepia toned or black and white photos of these grandparents from back in the day. And they'd be standing in front of this backdrop of like a Model T or something. It was clearly staged, but it was interesting because it's like, it literally looked like it was, you're walking into like a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life or something. Yeah. And when you're seeing these photos and you're just sitting here and I'm just like, it's crazy because it's like I see the look on their face and I see that obviously this is a lineage that I have a connection to, but I have no idea who they are. And I have no idea, obviously the influences of their life and their parenting influenced my parents. But it's funny too because as I've gotten older, I've become more intrigued and more just kind of curious. And I've asked my parents, and there'll be times where I just go over there and have dinner with them. And, it's not when my nieces and nephews are over and there's a lot of chaos and noise and everything. And I'm just sitting down and I'm, something will come up with a family member who lives up in Wisconsin. And then I'll just be like, oh, who is that again? And like, I'll just do a deep dive and I'll start picking their brain and asking them, and then they just start telling me these stories that I've never heard before. And it's just this wealth of wisdom and knowledge passed down from the ages that I'm just like, I mean, it's not like I feel like I was ever, like I ever ignored it or they didn't tell us stories from when we were younger. It's just one of those things where, it's like we just, it wasn't really of importance when they were raising us and they were worried about raising 3 kids. And we were just like, what's the next fancy gadget or gizmo that we can get? And, it's all about you. That's right. That PS2. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 2 is a great game. But no, it's like you're just, as a kid, you're just worried about being a kid. Yeah. And then when you grow up and you're kind of like, I find it very intriguing and just, I want to know more about my family. And it's funny to just ask them and they're like, oh yeah. And then they just start telling me. And I just, honestly, I love to listen. One thing is my, I want to get this right because I don't want to screw this up. I believe it was my dad's father who was in the military and wrote who became his wife, and there were these letters back and forth before they were, it was just when they were smitten with one another, and then of course how it developed. And my sister has those original letters, and I've wanted to get a hold of those and read them because it's just amazing to see not only how they're, and it was so cool because it's like she gets a letter from him, and then she'll write somebody she knows, and she'll tell all about this man that she's met, and she'll describe him and what he's like. And it's just, it's kind of cool because I'm like, that kind of insight from a firsthand perspective and just giving you, I need to get those letters from my sister and read them. But it's not someone, in person that you can talk to.
Yeah.
But it's at least an extension from the past, and it's something that you can absolutely get you closer to what it is you're seeking and finding. And I think the problem we have a lot in today's society and culture is too many people are worried about looking forward and just saying the past is irrelevant, we don't care. Yeah. And the problem is one of the things you learn in history right away is if you don't know the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And I think some of the atrocities that we are seeing today in our culture and our subcultures are so much this aching of really spitting on the people that have come before us when we don't really appreciate all the strife and struggles they went through to give us the life that we have today, and we take advantage of it.
It's funny how much people today think that if they had been around back then, they could have done things so much better. Like we would have we would have never even had slavery, let alone abolished slavery. Like we were so much, and it's like but,
never mind, it's been around since the dawn of time.
The fact this idea that things didn't have to happen, and you could say that about anything though. I mean, you could easily say it's like, well, things didn't have to happen that way. It's like, but
they did.
The world back then is completely different than that's the problem now. Is we're so bored, we have so few problems that now we're making up bullshit problems because
true.
That's the thing. We as people, we constantly that we want to be proactive about things. So now it's like, well, we don't have any real issues to fix, so let's just start fixing crap that's really
It's really
not,
funny.
Yeah.
It was really like sitting over at Brian's house, and I'm complaining about getting a new iPhone.
Yeah.
And how I didn't, I couldn't switch to Android the way I wanted to because Apple's got me by the balls.
First
and all
world
this
problems.
stuff, first world problems.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking back to, my great grandfather and my great grandmother, and I remember, like, my great grandmother's, when she was a kid, her mother, they had a farm, and they like a bunch of guys came to their farm once with guns and stuff, and said, we're staying here tonight, and they slept in it would have been my great grandmother's barn.
Holy crap.
And she like gave them breakfast and stuff in the morning, and said, now you got to go. Like, we have family here and everything. It was Jesse James.
Oh wow.
And his crew.
What?
And they were running from the police. And they stayed the night in my great-great-grandmother's barn, and they fed them breakfast and said, you got to get out.
Holy
and it's just
crap.
like, so I'm just like, that's the kind of stuff they dealt with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting here complaining about an iPhone. She was worried about her family because of the outlaw Jesse James and his crew staying in their barn.
I had those thoughts
Like,
this
it's crazy.
weekend. The huge storm came through Louisville, knocked so much power out, and they canceled schools and stuff. And granted, I understand like there's no power.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, in the 17 and 1800s,
They didn't have any.
It's like they had to go to school and they didn't have power. But now
I was without for 4 hours, and I was like, what the hell am I going to
But
do?
No internet?
But that's the point. They can't have school nowadays without the internet because they do everything on Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like before, you
don't write.
You had a candlelight and books and paper, and
Yeah,
now
no,
it's like
it's
no
true.
internet.
We got
can't-
it so good.
It's like no internet. We can't teach you anything. That's just impossible.
But really, do we? It's like we think we got it good, but
no.
do we?
Right. And I think that's kind of the irony.
What's better, sitting
so
around?
So many of our comforts are not only taken for granted, but they're taken as if, we could have never lived life without them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with being so comfortable is you don't have real struggles, or the struggles are really shrouded in vanity.
Yeah.
And they're shrouded in such a mystique of, well, I learned to live life without struggle.
Yeah.
And I think I'm sorry, but I don't think that's real living. I don't think you're really experiencing life if you think that putting yourself in bubble wrap and trying to protect yourself from the next
struggle
worst thing
is what forms your character. Like if you don't ever have to face adversity, then that's a person that I would be afraid of.
Absolutely.
Of their type of a mindset and mentality, because it's through adversity that makes you the person you are.
Well, and it tests your character.
Yeah, we all have to go through struggles.
Because at the end of the day, it's like if one person who's willing to lie still and cheat and do whatever it takes to get ahead with the simplest little, task or situation, then when you amplify that on a huge scale, when it comes
this took a turn I wasn't expecting, but it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, as I say.
Sorry,
no. When it gets to that kind of scale, it becomes a cultural problem. And I think we have that issue.
It's become a cultural problem.
So I think longing to bring it back around. I think longing for those relationships of old, like we've talked about here on this podcast, of especially our ancestors.
I think
is something that allows us to dig deeper into what not only what were their struggles and what they had to deal with, but what is that collective wisdom that we can gain from them, so that we can not only live a better life, not more comfortable, but a better understanding, more wise.
I think actually that hits
life.
the nail on the head perfectly. Is the fact that each new generation does a piss poor job, like a worse job than the first, of carrying on those values. And it's not that, there's definitely the people out there, our parents tried to instill those values in us for us to pass on. But in general, like outside of those people, each generation, it seems more and more, those values fade away. And it's like, oh, that's not important to teach my kids, or this ain't. And that comes through a whole lot with the cultural war and everything as well. And that's like a whole nother ball game. We can get into it another time.
And we probably will next week. Who knows? It always takes a turn towards that. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. You have our Oscar picks. Wow. They're locked in. We're going to tally up the votes after this week's Oscars show on Sunday. Will there be a slap? Let us know. We didn't even talk about what our prediction was there. What crazy zany thing's going to happen?
Jimmy Kimmel's going to have a good show.
Somebody
that's crazy. That's a long shot.
If Jimmy Kimmel gets slapped, I'll say that's a success.
True.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to make a joke about it. They're going to do something.
I seriously wouldn't doubt if they actually have someone come up and
try to
do a fake slap.
Have a staged fake slap for them to be like, oh.
The only way it'll work is if it's every single presenter comes up and does a slap.
That would actually be funny.
It doesn't get old.
Funny.
Yeah. It's like the whole night. You're like, are they going to stop? This is great.
They won't do that because they're not smart enough to think
Eventually,
about it.
you have one of the presenters
get you, Barbara.
slap back. Like if you have someone come up on stage and Jimmy Kimmel slaps them before they can get him. Like that would be hilarious.
They'll have Chris Rock come out and slap him. That's what they'll do.
Well, it would be funny if it's like they bring out like if he's out on stage and they bring out like a cardboard cutout of him and set him right next to Chris Rock, and Chris Rock just does a whole shtick. That would be fantastic. Yeah. That would be good.
I don't know.
We'll see
this Sunday, man.
Yeah. That's honestly the only thing that I think would probably boost the ratings right out of the gate, is just people wanting to see if something's going to happen because of the slap. That's the only thing. Otherwise, ratings are going to be down again, as always, as all award shows are. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
If you have your own email pick or your own Oscar picks, email us. Let us know what they are. RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com, right there at the bottom of your screen. And I don't say it the best, though. You do.
What?
I'm going to let you say
it. RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Beautiful. Just beautiful. Sexy.
Yeah.
Isn't that sexy?
Yep.
Oh, it's like drinking that coffee.
I like coffee on this technical.
And also,
real men drink coffee.
Like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our social media accounts right there at the bottom of your screen. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweets, Red Moon Picks, and, of course, search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Watch the Oscars on Sunday, or don't, because really nobody does but us.
We will.
And wait for our review next week.
Yep.
That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And nothing.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.